Today, we are going to have a conversation with our incumbent Theresa Stehly and challenger Alex Jensen, who are vying for a seat in the municipal election that has been rescheduled to June 2nd. We will have a moderated debate hosted by Rotarian Jack Marsh. Jack is a veteran journalist, and he'll be moderating this conversation. We will not take questions from Rotarians, as Jack has prepared the forum and the questions. Our online conversation will remain positive and productive. And in keeping with Rotary's tenets, I will share with you our four-way test. In Rotary, we live by our four-way test. And first, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better relationships? And will it be beneficial to all those concerned? I will now turn the conversation over to Jack, who will moderate the conversation. Thank you, Jack, and thank you, candidates, for joining us today.
Thank you, Jesse. Good afternoon, everyone. And we're getting feedback on this for some reason. I think it's about to be corrected. Sorry about that. Welcome to this forum and debate featuring the two candidates running to fill an at-large seat on the Sioux Falls City Council. They are Theresa Stehly, the incumbent, and Alex Jensen, the challenger. My name is Jack Marsh. I'm a lifelong journalist, a former president of Downtown Rotary, and I've been a resident of the city of Sioux Falls for the past 27 years. It's my privilege to be the moderator of this program. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Downtown Sioux Falls, thank you for your interest in the upcoming municipal election, in civic affairs, and in the community's future. Whether you are a Rotary member or you are a guest, we are pleased that you have taken the time to join us for this live stream event. We are especially grateful to Theresa Stehly and to Alex Jensen for their participation in this forum and for their pursuit of public service. Running for public office and holding elected office is a major commitment and responsibility. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Sioux Falls municipal election and the Sioux Falls school board election were postponed from April and will be combined with the state's primary election in 2 weeks on Tuesday, June 2nd. The race between Theresa Stehly and Alex Jensen will be decided by registered voters living within the city of Sioux Falls. Election officials are offering a safe option for voters to maintain social distancing. Absentee ballots are available now by contacting the county auditor's offices in Minnehaha County or Lincoln County, depending upon where you live. And your voting can be done completely by mail. As the moderator, I am solely responsible for the questions. And with one notable exception, none of the questions have been shared with the candidates in advance. I will be posing identical questions to both candidates at my discretion, and to be fair, I will accommodate occasional brief rebuttals. We will allow up to 2 minutes for each response. Our timekeeper today is my fellow Rotarian, Jason Herbold, who will hold up cards to warn the candidates as the time winds down and expires. So Jason, why don't you give a demonstration of how that works? So there'll be a 20-second warning, then a 10-second warning, here it comes, and then the much feared stop sign. So thank you, Jason, for taking on those duties. We will get to as many questions as time allows, and we expect that this program will run for about 1 hour. The initial order of responses will be Theresa Stehly, followed by Alex Jensen, and that happens to be the same order in which their names appear on the printed election ballot. Rather than immediately dive into a discussion of your candidacies and the issues at hand, we are going to take a less conventional approach. We will begin with 3 personal questions. And this one will, of course, go first to Theresa Stehly. Though you both seem to have good name recognition in Sioux Falls, many people still don't know much about you outside of politics. Tell us about your upbringing and background, your family, your education, your work experience, your community involvement, and your passions. Theresa Stehly.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you for the opportunity to meet with the community today in this forum. I suspect there's going to be thousands of people viewing this. I grew up in Mobridge, South Dakota. My father was a business banker there, so I really have a heart for the business community in Sioux Falls and across our state. I was blessed to attend a Northern State University, and I obtained a music education degree. And I've been in Sioux Falls many years. I've taught private piano here for about 40 years. Or it's been a total of 40 years. And it's been a wonderful experience. I teach piano. I direct church choirs. I've been doing that for about 35 years. And I just finished my 15th year of teaching voice at USF, the University of Sioux Falls. I am passionate about helping people experience music, and I'm also passionate about people being involved in good government. I've been a leader of several petition drives in our community, successful petition drives. The last one was the effort to bring snow gates to our community. And that passed by about 76% back in 2012. And it's been a wonderful service. As a city councilor, I've continued to work with Public Works to ensure that we have good service on that for all of our citizens. I also am a huge gardener, and I worked with the city to create a boulevard gardening ordinance that has been a fabulous thing, a beautification for our community. I was inspired by the McKinnon Park Boulevard. And so we've been working to promote gardening. I've been working for transparency and representation in our city because coming as a citizen advocate, I know how important it is to bring people into the process. So it's about doing what's best for the citizens as far as I'm concerned. Thank you. Thank you,
Theresa. Alex Jensen.
Thanks for having me, Jack, and Rotarians. You know, I love the work that the Rotary is doing here in the Sioux Falls area, you know, specifically the Sioux 52 and the mentorship program. You know, I hope there's a question later about mentorship because it means a lot to me. It's impacted my life in a great way. And I hope to be a mentor to people in the future. You know, again, I'm Alex Jensen. I was born and raised here in Sioux Falls. I've now been here for 33 years and started my career here. My parents still live here. We grew up just north of, 26th Street and in central Sioux Falls. So I know Sioux Falls very well and know, what's going on here. My parents, like I said, still live here. They work here and they're planning to retire here. So Sioux Falls is really important to me. You know, when I started my career here in Sioux Falls, I wasn't married at the time. Since that time, I've gotten married to a beautiful woman named Nikki, and it's been the best part of my life. I have a son now named Jack, and he's 7 months old. Some of the campaign material, over a year ago, he was pretty small. Now he's grown quite a bit. So a lot changes in 7 months, as we've all seen here with COVID. You know, as a new father, there's nothing more important to me than a strong and safe Sioux Falls. As our city grows and the families who live here, I want to make sure that it's strong and safe. You know, I have the ability, I have the experience in the state legislature and the temperament to immediately improve our city council. And with your support, we can make that happen. So thank you very much, Jack.
Next question, and this will go first to Alex. What are the guiding principles, the moral, ethical values, and the personal attributes that give you the most pride in yourself? How do these traits and characteristics define you as a person and shape your character? Alex Jensen.
Thanks, Jack. I think it's a really important question to talk about, our personal attributes and how we handle crisis and situations that are uncomfortable. In the state legislature, when I was on the appropriations committee, I served coming out of one of the great recessions. We had to be tight with our fiscal management of the state's budget, and we were effective in that. We had to say no to good programs because we didn't have money at that time. I hope that some of those programs are eventually funded, but I would say that my ability to work through problems with other people, I'm not a lone wolf. I'll work with others to get things accomplished, That doesn't mean that I'm a yes man or that I'm going to, just go along to get along. It means that I'm going to be critical. I'm going to have good relationships with my fellow counselors, with the employees, with our directors, with the mayor. I think it's absolutely critical to have those good relationships. And anyone who knows me understands that I'm really good at, building those relationships and working through tough times. So I appreciate that question.
And next we go to Theresa Stehly. So again, Theresa, what are your guiding principles, your values, your attributes, and how do these traits and characteristics define you as a person and shape your character?
Great question. Let me say that every morning of my life, I devote to my devotional time with the Lord. In fact, I brought my devotional with me today. I have sought guidance from God every step of the way. And I would tell you, being on the council these last 4 years has brought me to my knees in a way I would have never anticipated. I have sought to do what is the best thing for our citizens. It's not always easy. It's not easy to question procedures like that downtown parking ramp where you say, hey, things in this don't seem right. I have sought the answers that I've heard from constituents over and over, but I ask God to guide me in everything I do. And I'm a firm believer that we need to forgive those people who come against us. We need to work for the poor, the people who are oppressed, who do not have a voice. I've tried to do that my whole life. And if you talk to people who know me, they're going to say, yes, Theresa does reach out her hand to lift people up. There's a scripture I live by. It says, he who is trustworthy in small matters will be given larger matters as well. And another one I live by says, those who have been given much, much will be expected from them. And so that is my guiding principle in everything that I do. I try to treat people with integrity, but I also challenge people because I think that's what the constituents want. We are put into this position to protect the people and to listen to all of the people. So that's where I go. And I've been strengthened through this. Adversity does strengthen us. And our test of our character, it comes through when we're faced with hard decisions. So I have to say that God has been my strength and my guide.
When I started this forum, I said that I didn't share any of the questions in advance with the exception of one. And the next question I'm going to pose, I tipped off both candidates a little bit earlier, just before we went live with this program, because I wanted them to really think about this question and not to be caught off guard. This will first go to Theresa Stehly. Eventually, life presents all of us with challenges, adversity, tragedy, and other tests of our critical thinking, our perseverance, our conscience, strength, and integrity. Share with us one example, and it can be from any time in your life, including your childhood. Share one example of how you have put your principles and skills into practice to address and overcome a serious situation, a crisis, or other significant problem affecting yourself, your family, your friends, your community. Theresa Stehly.
In 2013, I was faced with a deadly blood clot. I had death on my shoulder for about a year. And that taught me, that experience, because I'm a single woman, it taught me the importance of having an advocate when you are in a hospital situation. I have found it a privilege to walk with people as they're dying in hospice situations. And after the 2013 experience where I tasted it, how it is when you're in a hospital bed and you're trying to ask the questions, and sometimes you're not treated with much respect. It's so important to have someone with you. But I had the opportunity to walk with a gentleman who had no family, and he made me his medical power of attorney. And for about 8 weeks, I walked with him through that hospital system. And times when they wanted to get him out, I had to advocate for him. I spent countless hours meeting with hospital personnel, trying to do what was best for this individual. And so that taught me about how tough things can be for people caught into that situation without an advocate. So now I am a big proponent of having people with you anytime you're faced with a medical concern. And I'm blessed. Pat Gustav, a wonderful citizen, died this year, and I was able to be with him several times to pray with him. I take flowers from my garden to people to lift them up. I think we're supposed to use our gifts to help others. I've tried to do that as a counselor, but I certainly have done that in my personal life many, many times. People will tell you that who know me. So that was something that came out of my own hardship, but I've used it as a gift to help others.
Thank you. So now to Alex Jensen, one example from your life, from any time in your life, of how you have put your principles and your skills into practice to address and overcome a very serious situation. Alex Jensen.
So when I thought about this question just before the program, I thought of one, and it's about me a little bit, and it kind of set the path for, you know, my success as an individual, but also a mentorship opportunity. When I was in third grade, and I know this sounds interesting, but I was in third grade and I was having trouble reading. We know that by third grade, if you're still having trouble reading, life's going to be a little difficult for you. So I thank God for Sherry Jonke. I hope she's listening. I doubt she is, but if she is, I want to say thank you to her. And I want to say thank you to my mom, because for about 3 months, when I was in third grade, my mom would come, she'd leave work to come and have lunch with Sherry and I, and we would work on reading. And it was tough. It was not what I was good at, because I loved being outside. I loved playing, you know, in the dirt. I loved, you know, being with my friends, and reading was very tough. But what I learned from that is if you, A, focus on something, and B, you get great mentorship from, in this case, it was my mom and a counselor named Sherry Jonke. I'll tell you, there's nothing better than that. And that is how I have tried to live my life, by building people up and being a mentor to, you know, younger people. When I got out of high school, I went to college, attended the University of South Dakota through the University Center here in town. I was able to be a youth group leader at my church, which is, you know, First Lutheran Church. And, you know, I tried to come with those young people as they're walking through their faith life and be with them, just like Sherry, just like my mom was doing to me. So I appreciate that question, and that's how I live every single day of my life.
Thank you. Let's now shift our attention from these personal questions to other matters in this two-way race. And this will first go to Alex Jensen. What got you interested in public service? What motivated you to run for the Sioux Falls City Council? And why do you want this job? Alex Jensen.
So again, it goes back to my childhood. I grew up just north of 26th Street in central Sioux Falls. Had two great mentors there, Jack Billion and Scott Heideprim. Both ran for governor as Democrats. They both lost, and one of them lost to a dear friend of mine, Governor Dugard. And what I learned from these individuals is that giving back and serving their community and standing up for what they think is right and what they hear from their friends and family is the reason that I serve today, because I think I have the ability, the experience, and the temperament to give back immediately and improve our city council. People came to me, you know, quite some time ago. I mean, we've been in this race probably for a year now, our campaign, working on getting our positive and proven message out there. Someone asked, and I thought that I had the ability to serve at that time. I was the only one in the race at that time. So we ran hard, and we are trying to reach every single voter here in Sioux Falls, because that we believe if we work together as a team and be critical of each other's ideas while still being positive, we can have a great Sioux Falls and make it 1% to 2% better than it is today. So that's exactly why I'm running, and I'm excited to serve on your city council, citizens.
Theresa Stehly.
Okay, would you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. What got you interested in public service? What motivated you to run for Sioux Falls City Council? I guess what motivated you to run for re-election? And then why do you want this job?
Well, I've led 2 successful petition drives in our community. One of them was to save an outdoor pool at Drake Springs for all those little children who didn't have that opportunity. If we had taken it away, they would have had to ride their bikes for 2 miles for an outdoor pool experience. The other one being bringing the snow gates to our community, because it's something that's going to help all of our residents. Both of those won by an overwhelming majority. My dear friend Kermit Stagers was always my voice on the council, and he was a voice for many people. And of course, we have a diversity on our council. That's how it was created, with 8 different members. And so when Kermit told me in 2016 he wasn't going to run, I felt so sad that we were going to lose that voice for the common average citizen, that I stepped in back in 2016, and I faced a big moneyed campaign, and I won. I've stayed true to my principles and my message back then in 2016. It's still my message today, that I want to represent the average citizen. We certainly have business interests on our council. We have people who are involved with development. And so I bring just the average citizen's perspective. And I have been listening to people for the last 4 years. I've been reaching out. I do meet and greets. I do a little mailing I return emails. I have phone calls. I'm always listening to the people. It helps us to do our job so much better. So I'm involved because I think we still need a place at the table for the people in my world. And let me say, I've helped people throughout our whole community, for that matter. But I bring a different perspective, and I think it's an important one.
Thank you, Theresa. And the next question, we will begin with you as well. Specifically, which of our current leaders here in Sioux Falls or elsewhere are role models for you, and what gives you confidence that you have the right qualities, the relevant experience, and the good judgment to help lead our city during this current unprecedented humanitarian and economic upheaval? Theresa Stehly.
I'm going to say my leaders, actually, who's inspired me the most has been the hospital workers, the people in the trenches. They're the unsung heroes of this whole pandemic. Those of us, who in elected office, we can go to our meetings and then go home. Not that we aren't working very hard with constituents at home as well, but those people who are actually in the trenches, the custodians, our police force, the ambulance workers, they're my inspiration in this. I think I bring a perspective of proven commitment to the citizens. I've been doing this since 2006 when I got involved to save an outdoor pool. And by the way, I was never against that indoor pool. I just wanted to keep an outdoor presence for those children. And let's face it, Drake Springs is one of the most widely used pools in our community. So I think outdoor swimming is very important. But I'm a person who sees an issue. I hear it from the community, and I put my concerns into action. I say, don't just sit back and complain about something. Get involved. And these past 4 years, I have tried to bring people to the table over and over, bringing people to public input. Well, we had an issue with the Whittier neighborhood, the business community, who had an issue this last summer. I facilitated meetings with the city to help find solutions for those businesses so they could have the same vibrance that we have with the downtown Sioux Falls corridor. So I'm looking for solutions. I'm listening. And I think that I will continue. Well, and I know I'm going to continue that as an elected official for the next 4 years.
Thank you. So Alex Jensen, who among our current officials locally or elsewhere are role models for you?
We lost you, Jack.
There, you're back, Jack.
All right.
I think I know the question, so I'll go if that's okay.
Very good.
Okay. So, of the, officials that I look to and have had experience working with would be, the former governor, Dennis Dugard. He came in a crisis a little different than this and had to cut the state budget by 10% overall. And as we go into this COVID crisis, we're going to have experiences like that because the sales tax revenue just isn't going to be there. So when we need someone with the experience in working through budget appropriations, like I had in the state legislature, we balance the budget every single year, and it was $1.6 billion. Now the city's budget is a little smaller at $545 million, but we're going to need people that have my experience and my background immediately to improve the city council. And that's why I look at Governor Dugard and his experience in cutting the budget 10%, because what he did then after is he found ways to really promote South Dakota and what we're about. We're about educating the young people. We increased teacher pay when we were out in Pierre. He's about having a detailed and specific plan for funding roads. That's what we did when I was out in Pierre. We did both of those things and had to work across party lines, across the party, because the party is, very different as well. So we worked with other people. Governor Dugard worked with other people, and I will always work with people to accomplish what is right for the citizens of Sioux Falls. Because at the end of the day, this is the citizens' seat, not mine, not anyone else's, but the citizens. And we will always focus on the citizens' dollars. And that's what I'm built to do. That's my background, that's my experience, and I'm ready to improve the council today.
All right, thank you. And we will, you'll be first up on this next question as well, Alex Jensen. Sioux Falls, where Smithfield Foods was for a time the single biggest COVID-19 hotspot in the nation, is grappling with the most severe public health crisis in at least a century. As a community, what have we done right? And where have we fallen short in our response? Alex Jensen.
Look, I've been watching the news and, the communication that is coming out of the mayor's office. And many city and state and, our country, our leaders are making decisions. And they're doing it with incomplete and ever-changing information. I don't want to sit here on Monday morning quarterback their decisions. But what I know is that when we emerge out of this, and we will emerge out of it, it will be different. But we're going to come out of this, and we're going to be in a very tough position. We're going to have to make really tough decisions with our city's budget. We're going to have priorities that we call non-negotiables, like public safety. Our police and our fire departments need us now more than ever, because we need to make sure that this city is safe first, and then we can work on its strength. And we're going to do that with our second priority in working in the roads. Over the last couple of years, we've made okay strides in working through the potholes, but we need someone, because of COVID, that has budget experience, and I'm the best suited for the job right now. So that's what I kind of know about, the COVID and what I've watched and my experience. And that's what I promise to each one of you, is to help us get through this and set us up for success in the future. Because that's what it's all about. It's about the next 30 years. It's about looking out for opportunities for our young people and our young kids, and making certain that we don't tax our elderly people out of their homes. We have to work together to do this, and I will promise to do that.
Theresa Stehly, the question, as a community, what have we done right, and where have we fallen short in our response to the COVID-19 crisis?
Well, my opponent says he's sitting back as an armchair quarterback. I've been in the game, as have my colleagues. For the last, since the middle of March, we have been working overtime for our constituents. We've had extra meetings. I think in the midst of the stay-at-home order that our mayor had initially proposed, I had more email input than I've ever had in 4 years. And I spent hours responding to as many of those people as I could. So we're all working hard. And, I got to also say that there's been a fabulous collaborative spirit within our council. We have come together in a way never before experienced. and we're supporting each other, we're communicating, because we all care, all of us, about what's best for our community, this hurting situation that is affecting everybody. So I will tell you that, you know, the mayor, I so appreciate what he's doing right is that he has been having these weekly press conferences. Actually, it was daily for a while, but he's trying to keep people informed about what's going on. It's been a little bit of a part-time job just to watch the governor's press conferences, the mayor's press conferences, the president's information, so that we're on the forefront of how this thing is changing so rapidly. And it's been the most contentious issue I've dealt with, people on either side of the aisle. We talked about a stay-at-home order that thing lasted about two days. And then we broke it open, and now we're talking to businesses. We do it better when we're hearing from the public. So I think this is an evolving situation, and I think that the public is understanding that we're trying to keep them safe, but protect their vitality of employment.
Thank you. We're going to stick with you on this next question, Theresa, and it's also COVID related. Sioux Falls, like local governments everywhere, faces the inevitable prospect of plummeting tax revenue. What will be your priorities and your parameters as you work with the mayor, your council colleagues, the people of Sioux Falls to maintain vital city services, to ensure the health and safety of our residents, to help restore the Sioux Falls economy, and yet still balance the city budget? Theresa Stehly.
Let me invite the public to tune in tomorrow at 4:00 on our council informational, because we will have our wonderful finance director. By the way, mayor hit a home run on this guy, Sean Pritchett. He's going to be coming in tomorrow to talk about the latest numbers. He has told me that he expects June's numbers to be even more of a dire proclamation than we're going to see tomorrow. But we're going to have hard decisions to make. I have been a fiscal conservative from day one. I've asked the council to implement a council working session budget 2 years ago. We've been analyzing the budget. We talk about the budget. The public needs to realize that the mayor and his department had set the budget. So historically, the council hasn't been involved till the end of the process. I have pushed to let us have more input at the beginning, because we're out there talking to constituents and hearing their concerns. And I agree with my opponent that streets are a big concern. Councilor Starr and I proposed a resolution allocating more pothole money that was a year ago. We really heard from the people about the situation, but there's going to be hard decisions ahead, and we will be working together. It's not my thing. I'm not in charge of the whole package. We're going to be working together, and I believe we're going to be continuing with this wonderful collaboration we've experienced in this COVID thing on the council, working together to find the solutions for our people, listening to everyone and coming together with the mayor and his staff to find the best solutions. I've got a proven record of showing that I do care, and I put the time in to understand all the issues.
Thank you. So to Alex Jensen, again, what are your priorities and parameters as you work with the mayor, the council, and the people of Sioux Falls to try to get past this COVID-19 crisis, yet still balance the city budget?
Yeah, this is the greatest question, and this is what sets me apart from my opponent is my experience in the budget process while out in Pierre, and as a small business banker here in Sioux Falls, I think I understand where to invest and where to cut. And I'll start with three things that I'll focus on. Public safety is absolutely critical, and of our $545 million budget, public safety is about 14%. It's split about equally between fire and our police department, and that equals about $71 million. That's absolutely critical to maintain that and invest more if we need to, working with the department heads. That's always going to be my priority. Second is highway and streets. We got to get back to the basics. I think that's what people are really looking at here in this post-COVID crisis is we've got to get back to the basics. My opponent, said that she's been working very hard during COVID. Well, we'd expect that from our leaders during this time. What I've been doing is I've been helping small businesses every single day through the Paycheck Protection Program. And that's what I've been doing. There was one time we did an all-nighter because we thought that the funds were going to run out. We pulled an all-nighter to work for our customers that were sole proprietors that really needed this to get by during these 8 weeks. And that's what I was focusing on during that time because that's the job we signed up for. As we move forward, we absolutely need to work together. And that is just fundamental. That's a fundamental process in budget experiences. We have to work with all of the people, all of the stakeholders, including the citizens. And that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to work with everyone to make certain that we have our priorities set.
Theresa, do you want to rebuttal on that?
Thank you. Yes, well, and I will point out that I've had 4 years dealing with the city's budget. 4 years. We have 4 years of weeks of budget hearings, listening to the department heads tell us what the priorities are. And again, as I said before, that the history of that has been that we hear that information and then we vote on the budget. We can make amendments at that time. I've turned that thing around in the last 2 years to say, let's have a council working session where we talk about priorities at the front end.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question, we'll go first to Alex Jensen. What is your assessment of how well the city council and the mayor are functioning together? And how would you contribute to the democratic process, to thoughtful decision-making, and to good governance? Alex Jensen.
Look, Jack, I don't need to, explain to any of you how dysfunctional the city council has been over the past couple of years. It's in the newspaper. People are watching that. But what I can promise to the taxpayers is by working together and working in a positive nature, that is exactly how we're going to move this city forward. You have to come together just with a relationship to start. And if you do that, we're going to have a really good outcome.
I think he's entitled to a full 2 minutes on that one, Jason. I'm sorry, Alex. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I mean, fundamentally, we just have to come together and understand where each other comes from. And if we do that effectively and we work with our department heads and, actually care for our employees that we have as a city, it's not any different than working in a company. Is we have different stakeholders. We have associates that work with us that we need to create a great relationship and have difficult conversations sometimes, and have positive and great conversations after we succeed. Although we might have a difference of opinion on what that success looks like and what we're trying to get accomplished, we'll always work together and have a great relationship. But that has not been the case over the past 4 years. So, the newspapers certainly show that. So thanks.
Theresa Stehly. So what's your assessment, Theresa, about how well the city council and the mayor are functioning together? And what contribution do you make toward the democratic process, to thoughtful decision-making and good governance?
I have always thought to treat my colleagues with respect at the meetings. I have stood up for the public's right to speak at the meetings. I think back on the golf course contract. I think back on the parking ramp discussion. Back when Mayor Huther was trying to shut down the input, I did stand up and said, allow these people to continue to speak so that we all can be heard. I've also told my colleagues I will always defend their right to ask questions and make comments and bring legislation forward at our meetings. In the past, I think there was more of a culture of let's get the information behind the scenes. We'll make our decisions before we get to our meeting. And then it's nice and neat and there's no debate. I have really worked to bring those questions out in the open. The things that citizens are asking me about, questions that are going to help us understand how we got to the process. And do we disagree at times? Of course we do. But we have Robert's rules there to set the parameter of how we relate to each other. And so I have always tried to reach out for communication with my colleagues. We were not elected, however, to be a country club group of let's get together behind the scenes and have a good time. We're there to do the business of the citizens. And so I've always taken the people along as a big of equation in the factor as I have my colleagues and the mayor. We all have different jobs to do as well. The mayor's job, his job is to handle the administration. We're supposed to be setting policy. We're supposed to be bringing ordinances forward. And I think it's exciting. I'm hearing from constituents that they like what's happening on a city council, and it doesn't need to be improved. It just needs to be continuing on as representation.
Well, let's continue on a related topic, and this will go. We'll stay with Theresa as the first responder to this. Theresa Stehly, how do you rate the city government's accountability to the public, its transparency and openness, and the opportunity that the city provides for citizen engagement?
Let's go back to that event center settlement that the Argus leader had to sue in order to open it up. That's a great example of what the kind of closed mentality that we've had in the past. I've got to give Mayor Tenhagen credit because I think he ran on more transparency and accountability, and I think that he's worked towards those ends. I stood up for public input. There was a movement a few years ago to take the public input and throw it to the back of the meeting. I rallied citizens. I said, come forth. We've got to stand up for this so that you can be heard in a timely manner. So I think people do want to be included. I've sent mailings out to try to help people understand what's going on. Too oftentimes in government, you vote on something and it's a done deal, and then the public hears about it. And let's just be frank here. Most people are not getting the newspaper anymore. They catch smidgets of something on Kello or Dakota News now. A lot of times we don't even have reporters at the meeting. So people don't know what's going on. And I've always said that is a perfect breeding ground for bad behavior in elected officials. When you don't have that transparency, accountability factor. So I'm a big advocate for that, and I will continue to do that forever because I think this government belongs to the people. It's their money, it's their business, and we got to continue to engage and to keep that thing open to everyone.
Thank you. So, Alex Jensen, how do you rate the city government's accountability to the public, its transparency and openness, and the opportunities that it provides for citizen engagement?
Yeah, the open meeting laws are absolutely critical. We need to conduct the business of the citizens in public because that's where it should be done. And every Tuesday night, although, you know, there might not be a reporter there, they're likely watching on the TV or watching it streamed live, as I have done many times, you know, feeding my son, Jack. It's important to understand that the decisions that are made in our government happen in an open forum so that people that are being affected by the laws and the ordinances that the city council creates so that they have an opportunity to hear what's going on and to keep government accountable. I think as a legislator, when I was out in Pierre, we opened up the budget appropriations process so that the citizens could come and talk about what was going on in public health, public safety, roads. All of the different department heads gave their appropriations talk, and then we allowed the citizens to come and speak. And we led that. We made government open and transparent. And I will always be open and transparent on the issues, on exactly where I stand, because I think that's what the taxpayers are asking us to do. They're asking us to protect their dollars and not utilize them in poor ways, in bad ways. Because if we do use their dollars in a bad way, then that just means that we'll have to increase taxes on them in the future. And that is not what we want to do. We want to use each dollar the most effective that we can. And I will always be transparent, open, and honest with people as we move forward.
Next question will go first to you, Alex Jensen. How is our city handling its accelerating diversity? And what is your plan for making Sioux Falls a better place for everyone, regardless of their backgrounds, their socioeconomic status, their beliefs, their sexuality, and other fundamental differences? Alex Jensen.
Yeah, this is one of the most important questions that we talk about. Sioux Falls is a welcoming place. We have to continue to be a welcoming place into the future. I think with partnerships with businesses in the community and with the Rotarians, specifically the Sioux 52 mentorship program, that is the first thing that I would help support and gain, members in. We need people from all different backgrounds, from Smithfield, from some of the other organizations in the community to come together. My electrician friends and plumbers that I help bank every single day. We need to come together and have these mentorship programs to really bolster that welcoming attitude. Because if we get to know each other, I'm certain that there are going to be challenges. But if we get to know each other, there are a lot of similarities amongst people. And if we understand where they come from and what is going on in their lives and what their socioeconomic background is, that is what is going to make us welcoming, is if we get to know each other in the community, like we've done for many, many years. We just moved into a new place, and it's fun getting to know all of the different neighbors because they come from a lot of different places. There's a lot of farmers that came here, 20 years ago and now are running organizations. Now it's changing a little bit, and people are coming from all over the place. And it is a welcoming place in Sioux Falls, and will always be a welcoming home for people to have a safe place for their family and to have a strong city so we have work for them so that they can provide for their family, because that's what it's all about. And I will always support that no matter what is in front of me.
Theresa Stehly, how is our city handling its accelerating diversity? And what is your plan for making Sioux Falls a better place for everyone, regardless of their backgrounds, their socioeconomic status, their beliefs, their sexuality, and other fundamental differences?
Jack, public, I have been a huge advocate for the rights of all people. On the city council job, we are nonpartisan. We're called to care for people, whether they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, atheist, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, whatever. We're here to represent everyone. And I have tried to reach out to people and listen to their issues, listen to their concerns as a council member. An example I have of how we need to put our hands out is that I had a family living next to me a few years ago from Liberia. And the parents worked at Smithfield. The children were running all over our neighborhood. I had neighbors concerned. I was in charge of the neighborhood watch. And I took those children under my wing that summer. I got them swimming passes. I took them to church. I bought them clothes for their school year. I even had a person from Liberia come into my backyard with the family to talk, who had been successful. This man was a successful employee in Sioux Falls, and he talked to them about how they can acclimate themselves to our community and grab onto the resources to be successful. I ran into one of those children at Culver's last year. He was working there, and he was so excited, and there was a love there that we had created. I think it's called interacting with people, helping people, using our resources to lift others up. We just had a resolution with the mayor on the refugee situation. We heard from people throughout that we are welcoming, we're caring, but we want to find ways of connecting people with the services so that they can be vibrant and have a wonderful quality of life.
We have time for 2 more questions, and this next one will go first to Theresa Stehly. What do you believe are the important differences between you and your opponent that are truly relevant in this city council race? What are the shortcomings of your opponent, whether it be policy positions or preparedness, qualifications, suitability for this at-large city council seat? Theresa Stehly.
Well, first of all, I don't know much about my opponent. So to say what his shortfalls are, I can't say. He seems like a nice young man. He's gotten some hefty donations. He's able to do TV commercials and radio ads in a way I can't do. And nor have I sought out big donors to help me do that. So I think he's connected to a certain entity in our community. He's a business banker at First Premier Bank. And as I said in the previously, we have business representation on the council. I think I'm not sure that he would bring forth the same empathy and connectivity to the people that I have been standing up for, so to speak, these last years. I'm an activist. I get in there and I do things. If I see a problem, I work at it tirelessly. And I don't know how much time he would be able to commit to the job, but I'll tell you, there's times it's 20 to 30 hours a week. It's a 24/7 thing for me, really. I'm passionate about doing whatever it takes to help people. And people are reaching out to me constantly with concerns. And many of them, we could talk about city government, but I'm contacted by people who have had a slap in the face by government many times, and small businesses that have run into red tape, and they reach out to me to be their advocate. I'm not sure my opponent has that history, nor am I sure that he would have that inclination to go to bat for people as an advocate, to get his hands dirty, so to speak. So I'm not afraid to get in there, roll up my sleeves, and do what it takes to help people, and because it's their government. This is about all the people of our community.
So now to Alex Jensen, what do you believe are the important differences between you and your opponent that are relevant in this city council race? What are her shortcomings as you see them regarding preparedness, qualifications, or policy positions?
Well, thanks for the question. I think when I hear your question and the multi points in it, I just looked at my background and what I've done in the budget appropriations process. I think that that's absolutely critical. My experience in the state legislature and working out of a recession to balance the budget and to invest in opportunities that we saw fit to invest in. Every single day, I work as a small business banker, helping businesses make investment decisions, whether it's in new employees or FTEs, whether it's in new infrastructure. Those are just some of my experience, and those are the ones that I can speak to. I know that specifically, I will come in with an attitude that's positive, that focuses on people, and really works, for the future of families just like myself. My parents retiring here, working for them. I think if you watch this campaign, there's no one that works harder than I do. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to accomplish a lot of different things, and the first one will always be being a dad and a husband. The second will be working for the taxpayers on the city council, and that'll be in relation to my job as a business banker. As I served in Pierre, I like having a citizen legislature, so it's not a full-time. We have enough full-time politicians, and they're in DC, and they don't do a really effective job, to be honest with you. So just because it's a citizen legislature and we have jobs and we live under the rules that we produce, I'm always going to stand up for what's right and for the families that live here and make Sioux Falls a strong and safe place to live.
We have time for just one more question. And so I guess this is your last time to rebut one another. and maybe to respond to your opponent's assessment of you. But the key question here, in addition to any rebuttal, is what makes you the superior candidate for an at-large seat on the Sioux Falls City Council? Alex Jensen.
Again, thanks so very much for having me here today. I appreciate your time, Jack, and keeping order here. I know that each and every one of you listening live or that will listen to the recording have a lot to do, and it's important. And I'm glad that you're listening to us speak. I want to thank Theresa for the conversation. But I'm grateful for Sioux Falls. I'm going to take my experience as a small business banker and my background in the state legislature working on appropriations and apply that on the city council immediately. As a new father, there's nothing more important to me than making our city strong and safe for the families that live here. It's absolutely critical. I have the ability, I have the experience, and I have the temperament to immediately improve our city council. And with your support, we can make a change for the better right now.
Theresa Stehly, the last.
This is our closing.
You get the last word.
These are our closings. Okay. So first of all, it's been a blessing to serve the citizens these past 4 years. And I've worked to protect the taxpayers and to bring representation to this the city council, this government. I'm asking for your vote on June 2nd to continue on with this. And you can also vote right now. I want the public to know that you can drop into the election center at 220 West 6th Street, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and cast your vote right now. Our polling places, many of them have been changed. And the city clerk will be mailing a postcard out this week to tell you where you're going to be voting. So that's an important thing. I want all the listeners to understand. Watch for that postcard so that you aren't doing a goose chase on election day, June 2nd. And get those absentee ballots mailed in so they don't get lost in the mail, because every vote is going to count. And I ask that you vote Theresa Stehly to continue on with this representation. I've been working to protect public input. I've been working to develop a council budget plan where I'm helping small businesses flourish, to be an advocate for them. And we want to keep constituents informed and engaged. I also want to keep this an affordable place for all people to live. And that's why I voted against every property tax increase that's come before our council in the last 4 years. So I appreciate this opportunity. It's been delightful. And I wish many blessings upon Alex Jensen in his life. I say to the public, nature's alive and well. Get outside, plant some flowers, plant some vegetables. It lifts up your heart. And today is such a beautiful day. So God bless you. I would appreciate your vote. Let's keep working together so this is a place for all people to flourish. Amen.
In the coming days, the voters of Sioux Falls, South Dakota will decide whether to retain Theresa Stehly or to elect Alex Jensen to fill an at-large seat on the city council. Citizens may vote by absentee ballot for the next 2 weeks, or as Theresa mentioned, you also go to the election center downtown. Or you can wait and go to the polls on Tuesday, June 2nd, and cast your ballots in person. Again, on behalf of Sioux Falls Downtown Rotary, we extend our deep appreciation to Theresa Stehly and Alex Jensen for their participation in this forum today, for their responsiveness to my questions, and for their willingness to seek public office. A video recording of this program will be archived on the Facebook page of Sioux Falls Downtown Rotary and will be available for sharing and for replay. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting of the Sioux Falls Downtown Rotary Club stands adjourned. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.